The Persona 4 remake is finally announced. And now for the next however many months, we as the community get to be bombarded with the good old question, should I play the original or wait for the remake to come out? And to that I say yes. Persona 4 is one of my all-time favorite games, and while it may be dramatic to say, it made a huge impact on my life. So ever since the announcement of Persona 3 Reload, I was excitedly waiting for Persona 4's turn to get a remake. And of course, if you keep in touch with everything, you probably already knew this was a thing before the Xbox showcase. I got hit with the leaks, but even knowing all of that, it didn't ruin the fun of the reveal because I just love this game so much that I'm excited knowing it's coming, and that's enough for me. But with all that in mind, I wanted to talk about the reveal and everything going on with it, because there's a bit of a conversation going on regarding the quality of what's been shown, you know, when Persona 6 is coming out at this point, and some other things I've just been seeing going around about the remake that I can't help but want to discuss. And also why I'm so excited to have this remake and why I think you should be too. So just off the rip, if we go through this entire trailer, which it's not even a minute long, there's really nothing. There are no characters in any of these scenes, no UI, we don't see what combat looks like or the dungeons, and we don't even get like new music. It's the original from Golden, and that's really surprising to me. But I wouldn't say that this is necessarily an issue. You know, if we read the title of the trailer, it's a teaser, and they even have a disclaimer that this isn't the final product on the bottom, which makes sense. You can clearly tell this is unfinished. I mean, just the way the main character looks as he's walking down, it almost looks uncanny to me. And just for comparison, P3R's reveal trailer back in 2023 was way more polished and further in development, as you can see with everything they were able to show. So the fact that this game is still quite a bit away from being done is understandable, although I do think that it won't be too long of a wait, just because I think having the assets of Persona 3 Reload already made on that new engine is going to help them a lot. But I'm also not a developer, so I actually have no idea what the hell I'm saying. But I think that's just the response I would want to say for people who think like everything looks really just rough and unfinished. And that's just because like it is unfinished. It's clearly really far off in development, so we're just gonna have to wait, and I really do think the final product is gonna look really good, and I swear I'm not just glazing. Or maybe I am, who knows. I will always fight for you. I think the reasoning for having this quickly thrown together trailer is it's most likely because of all the leaks. The voice actors talking about the game, and by that point this game was the worst kept secret of the month, and yeah, Atlas was basically at this point, here you go, here's your Persona 4 trailer. Now fuck off. I still want to say though that despite the early footage, these shots still look really good. I love the vibrancy, and I'm happy that we get to have a free camera while we explore. At least that's what it looks like in the teaser. The setting in Persona 4, the town of Inaba, is one of my favorite settings in games, and so being able to explore all that in a beautiful modern day graphics, it's going to be great. I'm excited for that. Also, fun fact, I didn't know that the word revival was actually a term used in television, mainly for when a series comes back on air after a long period. I don't know, thought that was interesting. Other concerns that I've been seeing is stuff like the lighting of the areas, mainly that everything is so blue, or it's got this blue filter to it, when it used to be much more yellow. And to an extent, I can agree, having that sort of warm filter to the game made everything look more homey? Is that the best way to describe it? But again, this stuff is still subject to change, and even if it doesn't get changed, I don't think the change in lighting is bad at all. I mean, I don't really know what people want with like the yellow filter. You want like New Mexico? Which, with all of this in mind, I just want to say this. I am okay if the game doesn't perfectly resemble the original. I almost don't want it to. The game is already going to change in big ways, with some if not all the original voice actors being replaced. We're going to get a remade soundtrack, and just overall there's going to be a lot of new and different things. And instead of looking at this in a negative way that the game is not going to feel like the original or it's not going to hit the same, I like to see it as this is a new spin on a game I love. It's not going to feel like my first playthrough of P4 Golden. It's going to be my first playthrough of P4 Revival, which is a new experience that I'll get to remember. It's not going to take away from my feelings and experience of the original. I'll get to experience a familiar story, but in a new way, and that's exciting to me. Of course though, I can't stress this enough. The game is clearly in early development, so many things are bound to change, and that's just why I'm not really being super critical about what has been shown so far. But I do think that if you want to see change, this is a good time to give feedback as well, as they continue to work on the game. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the so close yet so goddamn far game, and that's Persona 6. It's no question that we have been waiting so long for just a hint of Persona 6. We're nearing 10 years since the release of Persona 5, and like I feel old for just saying that, and I'm not old. I don't think so. Even after all that time though, it feels like there's just no indication of when this is going to happen. And I think this may be something that's starting to boil with the announcement of Persona 4 Revival, just because some people don't even think P4 needed a remake like P3 did. Because, I mean, P3 was very aged and it needed a remake, but P4 was accessible on PC, the golden graphics weren't like that bad. So there was this kind of like agreement that like P4 just wasn't in desperate need of a remake. But now that the remake is happening, it's just pushing Persona 6 even further away. I think a good amount of people were hoping P6 would come out first, then the remake of P4. So this added with a very, just kind of nothing teaser of P4. It's what's making people sort of overall almost a little upset about P4. The only sort of clue we got about Persona 6 with this announcement was this message left by the director of the Persona team, mainly just talking about their passion for Persona 4, but also that they're working on the future of the series and for fans to stay tuned. And honestly, I was more on the side that Persona 4 should be remade before Persona 6, and my reasoning for that is just, now that the big three of the series are all modernized and can be played on modern consoles, they're more accessible than ever. This would be a great way for new players to kind of like be able to experience everything Persona has, and once they've played them all, everybody's now on the same page for Persona 6. Because, I mean, we know that the game is going to be massive when it drops. I'm not worried about Persona 6 at all. It's going to be good. That's all I can say. Overall, I'm incredibly excited for Persona 4 Revival. It's my favorite one out of the series. Persona 5 was my first Persona entry, and I love that game so much, but there was something about 4 that just hit so hard for me. And I'm so happy I can play it all again in a brand new way. There's gonna be a lot of changes, and some honestly, like the music and especially the voice actors, they're gonna take some time to get used to, but I don't doubt they'll be great just like they were in P3R. Of course, I do hope that they add some new features in a remake and overhaul some of the less exciting ones. I would love to see more backstories of the main characters and more opportunities to interact with them, kind of like the hangout system in P3. I think that worked really well. I would say that the biggest thing for me is I really hope that they improve on the dungeons and overall combat. That's probably the weakest part of the game for me. The dungeons just don't feel unique enough and exciting to play, so I really hope they overhaul that entirely. I don't think the answer is necessarily turn them into palaces like in Persona 5, but just something that makes each dungeon more interactive and not just these box layouts for each floor. But in due time, we'll get to see more details about the game and hopefully some new exciting stuff. And yeah, I know that this is going to be my highlight and most likely emotional for me. This game means a lot to me, and it's changed a lot in me, as I think it has for others as well. Maybe you're one of those people watching right now. Regardless, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on the remake, what you like or maybe don't like about it, and put it down in the comments. If you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you listening to me yap. And I honestly wasn't planning to make a video at all about this, but I had a lot of thoughts about it, and I just really wanted to talk about it. So until then, live life, and I'll see you in the next one.